Hello, it's Phil Thatch, and today's video is going to be about some photography I did a couple of days ago. I kind of put together an entire video, but I decided that I needed a couple of little vignettes like this one to kind of tie the whole story together. I kind of played around and worked with photography off and on the entire day, and I made photographs with my Nikon Z50. I made a panorama with my Nikon Z6, and I also worked on, kind of the most seriously maybe, I worked on a photograph with my iPhone for the David Saylor's live stream. The challenge this week was to make a compelling photo with your iPhone. And so I worked on photos with all of those cameras, and I'll let you decide, and you can tell me in the comments which photo you like the best. But the first thing that I did was I made a photograph with the Z50. There was on our back porch, I just opened up the door and made the photo through the glass of the storm door with the Z50 and the 200-500 f5.6. There were, and it was really harsh light, there were mockingbirds, young mockingbirds hanging around on our back porch, and one of the parents came up and fed the mockingbirds. So we'll start out there on the back porch with the Z50. Okay, so here is the mockingbird feeding photo, and as you can see, the light was horrible, and I cropped this a whole bunch, but it is an intriguing picture, if not a technically good picture. It's interesting to see the little wild strawberries that grow as weeds in my yard being used by the mockingbird to feed its young. So a little bit later in the day, Heather and I went to Volkswagen Wetlands, and normally you go there to make wildlife photos, but there's a landscape photo that I've been wanting to make there for a while, and I decided to give it a shot today. And I used the Z6 and the 105 f2.5 vintage portrait lens. I thought I would try to make a panorama of this area, so we worked on that some. And of course, I took the Z50 and I still had the 200-500 on it, just in case there was some wildlife. And I'll show you everything we got there now. Hello, it's Heather and Phil. Although Heather is deeply engrossed in looking at stuff with her binoculars, we're here at Volkswagen Wetlands, and it's evening time. There's a eastern kingbird right there I may try to get a picture of. I've got my GoPro sitting in the hot shoe on top of my Z50, and connected to that is my FTZ and my 200-500 f5.6. And I've got a backpack full of landscape stuff. So I'm not sure what I'm going to do tonight, but I'm going to get started right now. Kingbird on a branch. Just pooped. Eastern kingbird is a flycatcher. There is the kingbird photo I was making in the clip that you just saw. It's just a really beautiful bird and quite attractive, sitting on that piece of wood in the wetlands with all the wetland plant life growing there in the water. I hope you enjoy the picture. Got a few shots of the kingbird, and now I'm going to wander over onto this side where I have a landscape photo planned. And we've also heard the prairie warbler over here a couple of times, but we haven't heard it in a little bit, so maybe we'll see it, maybe we won't. I kept the Z50 with the 200-500 in my hands as I hiked to the location where the landscape photography opportunity was, and I ran across this weed and several other weeds near it that had this, what appears to me to be some sort of a fungus growing on it. Maybe you know what it is, and if so, you can leave a comment. Last year was the first time I ever photographed these beautiful primrose that grow on the side of the road there at Volkswagen Wetlands, and I liked them so much that I found some at a local plant store, and I bought them and planted them around our mailbox, and they're perennials, and they are up and blooming at home as well as at Volkswagen Wetlands. This is the area where I've been thinking about doing a landscape photography shot, so I'm going to get set up and see what I can get figured out for a composition here. It's really beautiful, but it's really crowded too, so it might be hard to get anything, but I'm going to give it a shot. I'm going to try to do a panorama here with the Z6 and the FTZ and the 105 f2.5 portrait lens from back in 1981, a little vintage glass. I'm shooting at f11, half a second, ISO 100, and I'm probably going to put a remote shutter release on to make the exposures. I made a few panos. Have to see how they stitch and how they look. I made a couple of 9 shots. Whew, that's mushy. And some couple of 4 shots. I think the 9 shot was a little bit too much, a little wider than I really needed. I was hoping for a little bit better light this evening, but I didn't get it. So I was wrong. It's actually a 5-shot panorama, and this was the best of the panoramas, but I really don't like it at all. It would be so much better if there was some beautiful light. I'm going to go ahead and share it with you because one day I'm going to make a panorama of this same location and it's going to be great. So I'll be able to have this photograph to compare the future one to. But for now, this one's just okay. So now let's hike back out of here and see what Heather's doing back up on the road. I walked all the way back to see the heron nest again. This time the youngster was sitting in the nest high enough to where you could see it. So I got a few shots. I actually like this photo quite a bit, and though the theme of this video is that the iPhone photo was the best photo of the day, this one's pretty cool. I'm really pretty happy with this. I like the lighting, I like the background, I like the young great blue heron spreading its wings with its tail feathers not developed. I like it pretty well. And the lady who manages the whole Volkswagen wetlands, I didn't get her name, but she was back there, so I talked to her for a while. That was kind of fun. She knew the whole history of this place and how many of this bird are nesting here and that one. It was really cool talking to her. It's about to start raining. Actually, it already is a few drops. I'm going to show you Heather. She's over here. She's got a tripod, and she's got her.
I had my macro lens on.
She got her macro lens on. She's taking pictures of wildflowers on the side of the road here at Volkswagen Wetlands. So the other photograph that I worked on was a photograph of this plant that normally is out on the back porch, but I brought it inside to let you see this little potted plant. It's some sort of a daisy, and we have some white ones like this too that we planted and have in a pot on the back porch. But I used that, and I used this little Me Photo extra tiny travel tripod, and mounted on top of that I have an actual cell phone tripod mount that I had on top of that. And this is an iPhone XS Max. It's not the current version. The current version of the big iPhone has 3 cameras. It has an ultra wide lens, a normal lens, and a I don't want to say telephoto, but anyway, a 2x of the regular lens. This one just has the regular lens and the 2x lens, and I used the 2x lens for the shot, and I actually set a timer, and I lowered the EV minus 2.8 stops of light, and I had one of my Walmart, little $5 Walmart LED lights shining right on the flower, so the flower was in a ton of light, and the background was in almost no light. And when I lowered the exposure minus 2.8 stops, it left only light on the flower, and everything else went black. So it turned out pretty cool, and I'll let you see that now. So here it is, my favorite photo of the day, and it was made with an iPhone, even though I made lots of photos, as you've already seen, with much nicer cameras from Nikon. But you know, I really concentrated a lot on this, and it was in controlled conditions. I was able to control the light and all that sort of stuff. Now, I could have easily made this same photo with my Nikons, but I don't think I could have made those telephoto Nikon photos with my iPhone. So even though this is my favorite photo of the day, it's still not with my favorite camera, not by a long shot. Okay, so my favorite of the day was the iPhone photo. You know, the iPhone could not have made, I guess it could have made the panorama shot. It definitely could not have made the telephoto shots, because nobody makes a 500mm telephoto lens for an iPhone, but the iPhone shot was my favorite. So on this particular day, in my opinion, yours may vary, the iPhone beat the Z6 and the Z50. It really wasn't a fair fight though. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed the content. If you do, give it a thumbs up. If you want to see some more, subscribe and hit the notification bell. And I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Bye-bye.